Hi, this is Nitin. This is demo number 2 with respect to Azure Kubernetes service, and in this we are going to discuss about Azure Container Registry. I'll show you as how to create Azure Container Registry and store the images therein. So before we go ahead, let's understand what Azure Container Registry is. This is a service which allows you to build, store images, and manage the container images and artifacts in a private registry for all kind of container deployment. So you can have your private images, create your own custom images and keep those images in container registry. Use container registry with your existing container development and deployment pipeline. So if you are to build a pipeline for CI/CD integration, so you can always leverage as your container registry, and there you can do the scanning of your images and see the vulnerability in your images in service center service of your Azure. So that part I'm not gonna cover, but I'll these are the topics which I will cover in this session. So I'll create a Azure container registry instance, and I will tag the container image for ACR. So if you see, I already have a virtual machine launched in Azure. In this virtual machine, I do have three images: Azure front. This is the same image which we used in our last demo. Azure front. There is one more image that is Nginx Flask, and there is one more image that is Redis. So I do have three images therein. What I'll do, I will retag this image with Azure Container Registry. Will push this image to Azure Container Registry, and then I will change the manifest file image location to the Azure Container Registry location, so that it pull the image from the Azure Container Registry when you deploy the application. And finally, we will do the testing and delete the cluster. So this is quite interesting with what we are going to perform. Make sure that you have already your platform ready. So in this before this demo, I just launched a virtual machine in Azure, which is Linux based, and I do have Azure CLI already installed therein, and Docker is also installed, and I did installation of kubectl also. So refer any blog for installation of Docker and Azure CLI. I'm not gonna cover these installation steps in this demo. So this session or this demo will be more focused on Azure Container Registry and deploy the application, referring the images stored in Azure Container Registry. Okay, so let's start. The first step will be to create the resource group. As we know, any resource in Azure should be part of a resource group. So let's create a resource group with this command. So this command is going to create a resource group called my resource group in the location East US. Okay, so the resource group has been created. Let's go back to the portal and see how many resource group we have currently. So there is one resource group that is for VM, and let's see how many resources we have. We have these resources which are part of my virtual machine, which is already there in virtual machine, network interface, disk, public IP address, network security group, virtual network. Right. So I just created a resource group called my resource group herein, and let's go ahead and execute the second command. The second command is basically to create the ACR, that is Azure Container Registry. Make sure that the Azure Container Registry is having a unique name. So let's name it as AZ, ACR. Today is 2608, and I'm using this queue as basic. Okay, just for the demo purpose. So Azure Container Registry, create the resource group which I'm using is my resource group, which I just created, and the name of the container registry is Azure ACR2608. Let's hit enter, and now you go back to the portal and hit refresh. Then you should be able to see Azure Container Registry therein. Right, so it may take few seconds to reflect over here. Yeah. So now I can see the Azure Container Registry therein. If you click this resource, then you should be able to see the registry, right? So here if you click on repository, then there is no repository therein. I didn't create any repo yet. I didn't upload any emails therein, right? So let's go back to the reference document, and the next command which you would need to run is you will need to log in into the Azure Container Registry with this command. So the command to log in into your Azure Container Registry is ACR login hyphen name, the container registry name. Hit enter, then it will just say you the message as login succeeded. So now that you are authenticated to push the images to Azure Container Registry. Okay. So the next command is basically to list the images whatever I have currently. So I do have 3 images as I told you earlier: Azure Waterfront, the UWSGI-Nginx-Flask, and Redis. So in this demo, what I'm gonna do, I will just retag this image with Azure Container Registry name and push it to Azure Container Registry. So how will you tag the image in Docker? So you will just run this command docker tag and the name of your image which you want to retag. Let us with the tag, right? So here currently the tag of this image is latest. Doesn't matter if you give column latest here or not. So in my case, I'm just giving this just for the simplicity and to make you understand. And next is basically the container registry name. So 2608. Let's see the login name. So if you scroll it up, and you will be able to see the login name, login server from here. Let's just copy and paste it in here. Say slash, and this time I'm gonna say this is the name of my image. Okay, so hit enter, and docker images. Now if you see, this is the image which is tagged with this name, right? So I can see one more image over here, right? So next command which we are gonna run is pushing the image to Azure Container Registry. The command to push the image to Azure Container Registry would be very simple. So docker push the name of your image, colon, the tag of your image, that is v1, hit enter. So make sure that you are already logged in to Azure Container Registry, otherwise this command is going to fail, right? So now after a 1 minute or so, you should be able to see this image in here in Azure Container Registry. Okay, so now if you see, this image has been pushed to the container registry, and go back to the portal, hit refresh. Here you go. So we have the image there in Azure Container Registry, and this is the tag, that is v1, right? So the command to see the image in the container registry is ACR repository list hyphen name, the name of your container registry, that is this one, right? And space hyphen output table. So it will just give you the output in tabular form, and you don't need to give this suffix or the domain as your cr.io. So you can just omit this card and hit enter. It will show you the repository or the image which you just pushed in. Okay, so now let us say you want to see the tag, right? As of now only there is one tag, but you may have multiple tags, and if suppose you want to list all of those tags, the command to see all those tags would be something like this. So this is the image for which I wanted to see the tags, right? And this is the container registry name and ACR repository show tags, right? So hit enter, it will show you v1. v1 is the tag for my image as of now, right? So we are good till this point, and now what we are going to do, we are to launch the cluster now, right? So we are to launch a AKS cluster with this command. So let's copy this command from here. I will explain the attribute of this command later. Let's copy this command. Okay, and your Azure Container Registry name, and that is this one. Okay, so this command will do what? It will create AKS cluster, AKS create hyphen resource group. This is the same resource group which we created. my resource group, hyphen name, my AKS cluster, this is the name of your cluster, hyphen node hyphen count. So number of node in my cluster will be 2. Generate hyphen SSH key. So we are going to generate the keys to log in into the agent node later. And hyphen attach ACR is a container registry name. So with this command, we are integrating our AKS cluster with Azure Container Registry. Hit enter. It will take a couple of minutes to launch your AKS cluster. So it says that the resource name with this could not be found in subscription pay as go. So okay, so what you do, I think there is a mistake there, and let's see AZACR2608. And what if you just omit this part from here, AZACR2608, okay, and hit enter. Yeah, now it's running. So the basically you can just omit the last part of it. You don't need to mention Azure cr.io. And now it is working, and it will take a couple of minutes to launch AKS cluster and integrate that with Azure Container Registry. So I'll just pause the video here. We'll come back once the Kubernetes cluster is ready. So I think it took 5 to 6 minutes for me to launch this cluster, and now if you see, this is the output which I just got, and it says finished. So it means my cluster is ready. Let's go back to portal and see the resources and everything. So you should be able to see that in all resources section. So here if you see AKS cluster, everything is ready, right? My AKS cluster with load balancer, public IP address, and network security group, and everything is seems to be running, right? Okay, so next is what we are going to do. We are to connect to this cluster with this command. Okay, so this is the command which you will run. So as of now, if you see, um, uh, just if you see and navigate into .cube directory, there is nothing in there. Even the directory doesn't exist there, right? So let's run this command, and this command will do what? It will download the it will create this cube directory, .cube directory, and copy config file in there so that I can connect to the cluster, right? So now if you navigate into .cube, the directory exists there, and uh, see the content of this file, it is there, right? Now you should be able to run this command to see number of nodes, and it says 2 nodes are there in, and if you run you'll get ports, and there is no port as of now, right? So we reached to a good stage here. So what we have achieved so far, we have created a resource group. After that, we created a Azure Container Registry. We have tagged our image to name as Azure Container Registry, and we have pushed the image to Azure Container Registry. And now the next step is basically to download the manifest file from the GitHub link. Okay, so let's grab the GitHub link. So this is the GitHub link from where I will just download this manifest file, and this is the manifest file which I'm gonna apply. And what I'll do, I will replace the image reference. So this is image for your front end, right, deployment. So what I'll do, I will change Microsoft, or replace Microsoft with Azure Container Registry name. So that was ACR2608, and let's grab the whole part from the above, or you can just refer the documentation part to see the suffix. So it is Azure cr.io, right? So let's say Azure cr.io, right? So this is the name of my container registry, and this is the image, and it should be exactly same with what you see in Docker images command. Okay, so if you run Docker images command, then you should be able to see the same, right? Okay, so let's grab this to make sure that we have updated that correctly. Yeah, it is exactly same, right? With along with the tag. Now the next thing which you would need to do is deploy the application. So now when you will deploy the application, what it will do is it will go and grab the image from ACR instead of downloading it from Microsoft. So let's run the command kubectl apply -f Azure all. Hit enter, and now you see your containers and ports. See the service also. So service has been launched already on type load balancer. This is the IP address on which my application should be accessible. Let's wait for some time. Both of these ports should be in running state before I try accessing this URL. Okay, now you see it says in running state, and now if you hit this command once again, then you should be able to see both of these ports are in running state. Grab the IP address from here, okay, and paste it in the browser and access your application, right? So my application is accessible. The only thing, only the difference is, instead of pulling our images from Microsoft, now that my deployment or Kubernetes is pulling the image from ACR, right? So we have integrated our Aks cluster with Amazon Container Registry with this set of instructions. Okay, so that's it for this demo, and the final command which you will run to just delete this cluster, and when you will run this command, it will delete the resource group, and when you delete the resource group, it will delete all the resources underneath, and that's it. Thank you.